Welcome to the Self Reality Podcast, a show where we like to talk all things reality TV, the good, the bad, the outrageous, and how we feel about them inside. I'm your host, Angie, and today I'm here to recap and discuss Amazing Race Canada, Season 11, Episode 5. Lots of action this week, and as you can see, I'm on my own, but let's just get into it. But quickly, please like, share, subscribe if you're enjoying this content. It would really mean a lot to me, and I would truly appreciate it. So this will probably be a pretty quick episode. As you can see, I am soloed today. Nick wasn't able to join us, but he should be back for the next episode. All that being said, let's talk about this week's episode and what happened. So, as per usual, I think we only had seven things that they did, including the pit stop. But this one starts off as if you recall last week, and of course you do, they were in the Northwest Territories. So now they have to fly to Prince George, BC. So we're going back to BC, and they let the teams know that there is a double pass. Now, I did not know what a double pass was, and I had to wait until later in the episode. What it means is basically first come, first serve. If you get in early, you can put someone as a pass, which means they have to wait until the next person comes and passes them. So they have to basically sit and wait until the next team arrives before they can carry on with the race. So it's a pretty big deal. And as I'm watching this, I'm already thinking like, Jesse and Jonathan are for sure because they're just like first every time except for last week. But getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I think all teams flew on the same flight, if memory serves, or according to my notes. And, we get kind of a little snippet of folks talking, and it's sort of a prelude to what's about to happen. Joe is finally saying, like, we're being too nice. We need to stop being so nice, especially because Grace and Joe are actually from Prince George, and they're hoping everyone forgot, but everyone is aware they're from Prince George, which means there's no GPS. They become the GPS. So of course, if you're going to follow them around if you can. So everyone arrives on the same flight, and now the first route info for all the teams except for Celia and Lacey. If you recall, they were last week on episode 4. And they need to do a speed bump. And actually, they got their speed bump right away, which is kind of, I think, helpful to them to know what has to happen. But they'll do the route info a little bit later. But all the other teams need to drive to Ness Lake Forest Nursery. And essentially, aside from Celia and Lacey, everybody follows Grace and Joe because, they know what's happening. A bit of a side note, I'm feeling bad already for Marie because her knees are just like destroyed from, I guess she's not used to that much moving. It's probably really difficult for her. I think that probably if and when I participate in the race, I will definitely need to do a lot of cardio and get myself prepped up for it because I think going at that pace every single day would be, I think they downplay it because I feel like each of these legs is all in one day, and that's a lot of stuff that they're doing. Travel alone is exhausting, and consider, I'm not sure what the time zone difference is here, but I would think that the Northwest Territories might be a different time zone also than BC. So there's that as well. So once they get there, they have to all participate in Don't Let the Tree Stump You. So they have to search 100 plus greenhouses to find like little pieces of a puzzle that are going to create what's called Mr. PG. He's Mr. Prince George, the mascot of Prince George. And there could be an assist in place. So there's 6 pieces that they have to find. And it's just mammoth, this place. Like, I mean, how intimidating. And again, as they're talking about it, I'm thinking poor Marie is just, her knees are already just buckling, and I really admire her spirit and for her to continue on. So the assist gives them 2 of the 6 pieces that they have to find, whoever gets the random assist that's in the little envelope. So Ike and Dimitri are the ones that find the assist. So for this particular challenge, they win, of course. They get 2 in advance. Hippie and Magoo are behind them, followed by Grace and Joe, E.B. and Blake, the Rebeccas, and then Jesse and Jonathan. A 7 and 8, like the last two groups, Louis and Marie are one of them, and they actually find what they need, and then they hang around to help Celia and Lacey. I think it's very nice that they've bonded so well, but like at first, well, I don't understand if you want to win like the waiting. I understand from like a humanistic perspective, and an empathic perspective, and you've really like connected with these young people. And like Louis talks about how he has kids and stuff, but I really just don't get almost possibly throwing the game away because you're the last two teams. And at first they're actually just waiting for them by the car, which even makes less sense to me. It's like, if you're going to help them, go and help them. Now I think Marie should have just hung around at the car while Louis helped them, because Vernice, like, she's got to be ready. They have much more challenges ahead of them today. I can't remember if she helps, but I think Louis goes and helps them, because like, you're getting further and further behind. Not only are you already in second last place, but you're further and further behind. So I would like to think I would help, because I think it is lovely, but then again, it's also a game. So you have to be like, they helped them as much as they could. That's what I think. So then the first people, like Ika and Dimitri, leave first, but they are not the first. I think they get kind of a little bit turned around on their way to the next stop, where they're searching for the large version of Mr. PG. So Nippy and Magoo get there first. Nippy and Magoo use one of the passes on Jesse and Jonathan, which totally makes sense. I would do that for sure. These guys have been getting first. And then the next to arrive, like in very quick order, is Grace and Joe. And they actually use their pass on Ika and Dimitri, because Ika and Dimitri were the first to get out of there. So they were doing really well. Now, what's interesting is it's an anonymous double pass. However, it becomes far less anonymous when Ika and Dimitri arrive as they're using the pass on them. So they know that Grace and Joe used it on them, and they are furious. I mean, Ika's face is just like, if looks could kill. Like, she is very mad. I'd be mad too. I think my instinct would be curiosity, but then, and I think they both kind of, and he's kind of PO'd as well, but I think they both understand why they're doing it. But this is not going to bode well for Grace and Joe. So Mr. and Miss Nicey Nice are starting to really play the game. Dimitri says I have a quote for him. He's a little cheese, so he's keeping it PG for the show, pun intended. So after this, of course, Jesse and Jonathan and Ika and Dimitri now have to sit and wait for the next teams to arrive. So the next thing that they're going to is a detour this time. So the next part of the game is they have to head on over to the University of Northern British Columbia and participate and choose either mental energy or physical play. So only one team ends up choosing mental energy, which is where they have to figure out what appears to be a very complicated math problem about like how many pellets would heat a home, blah, blah, blah. It seems complicated, but I don't know. Maybe like I don't know. I might have leaned toward that one, though. I don't know. If Nick was here, Nick probably would have said the physical play one. So basically they have to figure that out. And then once they figure out how many of these little tiny wood pellets that they need to heat a home, they have to like just bag that many and then weigh it. It has to be that many, I think, kilograms. And then they've finished. The other physical play one is they're playing wheelchair badminton. So they essentially have another team that plays badminton, I think, and they have to get a volley going for at least 15 rallies, which I think there's definitely a learning curve to sort of figuring out how to maneuver the wheelchair. And also, like, if you're not good with badminton or whatever, that would be tricky. But all the teams seem to do okay after they sort of get the hang of it. First place in this one is Grace and Joe, and then Nippy and Magoo. Interesting to note again, so Nippy and Magoo have been very intelligently following Grace and Joe because they're so close behind them. And actually Magoo's like shouting at Joe because like to wait for them, right? Because they finish a little bit later than Grace and Joe, close enough that they see them in the car, but he's like, wait for me. And they take off. So, you know, kind of mark number 2 against Grace and Joe. And again, I can't blame them because they really have struggled in previous legs with some of these challenges. And I think it's time, like every minute counts. And I think there's a time to be nice and supportive and helpful, and then there's a time to try and win the game. And I guess that's sort of the balance of the show and what's sort of fun about it. After Nippy and Magoo, you have E.B. and Blake, the Rebeccas, Ika and Dimitri, and then Jesse and Jonathan. Actually, they're 6th place, and they, like I said, they did the wood pellets one. I think it would be kind of scary to be the only team doing like a different challenge than everyone else and not seeing anyone. I think there would be a lot more pressure on for that. But, you know, you don't always know when you choose it which one it is. And then Celia and Lacey are 7th, and then 8th is Marie and Louis. So now the next thing is they all have to drive do they have to drive? They have to go to another place. I'm not sure if it's in the same UNBC or if they have to go elsewhere, but they essentially have to go. It's a roadblock this time. So only one person gets to do it. And as I've mentioned before, they have to decide just based on the title of it. They don't get to like read anything what the challenge is before they choose. So in this particular one, it's called Who's Feeling Splashy? It's very similar. So it's similar to the line dancing one where they had to go watch the line dancer and get the line dance right. In this case, it's aqua size. They have to watch a trainer or the lead aqua fitness lady do the training and do her particular routine, and then they have to repeat it verbatim or as per what they saw, or they had to start the aquasizers folks in the pool do them, so which is kind of intimidating. They do stop doing at a certain point, especially some people take a really long time to do this. So the first ones here are Grace and Joe. However, it is Grace who does this one, and she does not pick up on this very quickly, and these guys drop to number 6 from first place to sixth place during this particular challenge. And interestingly enough, they actually just swap out essentially with Jesse and Jonathan, who come in way later than them. They come in sixth place and they just hammer this through and are number 1 out of this challenge. Aika really struggles. She was the one who did this one. She really struggles with this one. And I just want to make a comment. What I thought was really nice, sort of in comparison to that other team from the beginning legs, Brandon, I think, and Sam, who kind of like get snippy. I thought Dimitri was just so supportive of Aika when because she had to do it a lot of times and she was really struggling. And I just thought it was he was just very supportive, and then she ends up doing it. They end up being in 4th. And another notable is that the Rebeccas come from 4th place to 2nd place. So, it's quite a shuffle of teams. The only teams that kind of remain around the same place are Lacey and Celia, and Louie and Marie are 7 and 8. Now, the other thing I want to point out from this particular challenge is that Marie chooses to do this one. And if you remember, her knees are destroyed. And she, I think, did the line dancing challenge and she really struggled to remember. And I can get that because it's very particular. They have the weights that they're holding, knee kicks and whatever. Just imagine the pressure, and you can only go similarly again to the line dancing, like it's team after team. So Grace and Joe, that's why I felt so bad for them because they come in 6th place. Grace got a lot of kicks at the can, and now Louie and Marie, so they ended up waiting for Lacey and Celia, and now Lacey and Celia are dancers. Like last time for the line dancing, they came in first. Like they were able to just nail it down really fast. Younger, they're used to having to memorize stuff. So yeah, the last team to finish was Louie and Marie. I think she ends up finishing. And again, I have to say the supportiveness, Louie was really good to her. Like I really thought he actually said, let's take the penalty, which would have I think it would have guaranteed that they lost, but he's like, let's just take the penalty because he felt so terrible how hard it was on her knees and how much pain she was in, how difficult it was. So it's really heartwarming for me to see like how kind he is. And even though I don't necessarily agree with the strategy of helping and waiting for Celia and Lacey, who, spoiler alert, end up beating them to the pit stop. I really respect that sort of empathy and connection and kindness. And I think that's just a beautiful thing that is really nice to see, especially in a competition like this. So this one, again, there's only 7 stops this time. So we're on stop 7, and it's actually the pit stop, which is Connaught Hill Park. Number 1, unbelievable. Jesse and Jonathan come in number 1 after getting passed. The other thing I want to mention about the pass is I think they asked another team to go ahead of them. That was right behind them that they asked, I think it was the Rebeccas maybe, to go ahead of them so that they got past pretty quickly. So it didn't really slow them down that much. But still, after getting hit with the pass, after going in number 6 into the roadblock, they ended up in number 1 and they win. And this time they won a trip for 2 to Mexico and another $15,000. Like, wow, these guys, I feel like they've won, like, what are we, 4? They've won 4, come in number 1 on 4 of them. So they've won at least like $50,000, like, because a couple of them were 5,000 plus like 4 trips. So I don't know, amazing. In second were the Rebeccas, which is great because they jumped up from last week when they were in, last week they hit the pit stop 6th place, and this time like they're up to number 2. Nippy and Magoo have inched their way up the board. They're in number 3. Ike and Dimitri number 4, and then Evie and Blake 5th place. Grace and Joe 6th. So they've well, no, actually they were 7th last week, so I guess they moved up one spot. They just, you know what, like they do some challenges so well and they're so strong, and then other ones you're like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't get it. But they're still in 6th, so they're still in it. And, you know, a challenge can be a great equalizer. Lacey and Celia are 7, Marie and Louie last place. And I'm not gonna lie, I bawled my eyes out. Like just seeing like the love and the care and just like the mother son relationship and how supportive and loving they are of each other. I just think it was a beautiful like goodbye to them. I think that honestly it's for the best probably that they got eliminated, only because like if you like watching her try to run, try to move with how bad her knees are, like she could do real severe damage. Otherwise, I would hope she would have seen like if I don't know, do they have medics on these shows? Like someone to kind of double check and see how they're doing. I would hope that she could have had someone like check out her knees, because she was just, it seemed more serious than just like sore knees. Like it seemed pretty severe. So I cried a lot. I always cry, but this one, I just, it was so beautiful to see such a lovely mother-son support and how proud they were to do this together. And yeah, it was a good episode. Again, it's just action packed. There's just so much going on. I'm curious, I wish Nick was here, but what approach would you take to this game? Like, how do you choose whether to be kind and helpful? Because that can also help move you along. And when do you become more villainous or just very, like looking out for number one, like your group? I think personally, I would struggle with those things and not helping people, especially if you form like a strong bond with one of the teams. And watching this also makes me think like there is quite a bit going on, like they're having dinners together or they're hanging out at the hotels in the evening or whatever. I think there's more chitter chatter. And I think as we said last week, I would love to see more on that. So this show is lots of fun. It was cool to see some of the lovely landscapes in Prince George. Based on, on next week, it looks like they're going to Quebec, and it looks like there may be some sort of French challenge. So that is going to be a lot of fun. So, hey, we're headed back east. So they're west. Now we're headed east. Let's see where it takes us. Hey, Amazing Race Canada, great episode. Tons of fun still. We're starting to see some real emotions. People sort of like getting tired, I think, getting sore, having some pain. And you're starting to see, that's why I like it when I see, like, I saw Louis be very supportive to his mother, or want to wait, him and his mom wanted to wait for the girls, or Dimitri being really kind to Aika when she struggled. Like, it was nice to see that kindness. And then just totally on the opposite side, I also think Grace and Joe are playing they've moved more toward a strategic like game, and they're doing what they have to do to win and to move themselves up the board. Now, could that possibly hurt them, if there's another one of these things where they do a double pass, or I can't remember what the other thing is called, like, I don't know, but hey. And oh yeah, one last comment I forgot to mention. The speed bump, like Celia and Lacey, I mean, they weren't eliminated. They're second last, but they did end up, staying in the game still. So there you have it. The speed bump was just something like they had to go and pick up muffins or cupcakes or something and deliver them. It wasn't super it didn't seem super challenging. It's definitely slowed them down, but it's not super challenging. So let me know what sort of strategy you would employ. How did you like this episode? Are you enjoying everything so far? What do you think of everyone? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to go on ahead, like, share, subscribe, do all the things, hit that notification button so you never miss an episode. And I will see you later. Thank you for watching. Bye.